So, right, let's get into our main event of the week. The absolute fucking abomination that is Highlander 2, The Quickening. Take it away, Philly.
Okay, yeah, as Daz says, this week we're doing Highlander 2. Man, this is going to be a shambles. I'm just going to tell you the format's going to be a little bit different. Usually we'll do our spoiler-free and then our spoiler stories and then a spoiler section and do it scene by scene. I'm not denying that. My notes are an absolute mess, or they just couldn't stop laughing and taking the piss out of it. So we're going to have no spoiler-free section. It's fully spoiler. The movie came out in 1991, so you really, you should have seen it by now. And like, it's even if you want to go and staff of this, fair play to you. It's directed, and I say directed loosely, like by Russell Mulcahy, because like he directed the first one and he was making the second one, but like he lost complete creative control because like the whole thing was filmed in Argentina and they had some sort of like economic breakdown or whatever there, and like
the currency fucking went to shit.
Like it's so all directive control on the direction of the movie, scenes, we're all taken away from him, so although his name is on it, he walked out 15 minutes into the premiere. Like he hated it, everybody hated it, everybody continues to hate it. It's been this cult classic of people who watch it to take the piss, but like they just completely tried to change the whole lore, but everything from the first one we've set up. Like the Highlander and love for the first one was, it was all about these, immortals, and once you die, whatever age, you stay at that age, and that's how fucking Conor McLeod is the same for. I'm pretty sure I did that in the last episode as well. Conor McLeod is the same age, and fucking and supposedly, and so is Ramirez. But the thing in this one, they just completely change it. They're just like, oh no, it starts off kind of, okay, we're set in the year 2024. So in the year 1999, we have at the very start, Conor McLeod is the whole ozone layer, because it was such a panic around the ozone layer in the 80s and they're about us destroying the ozone layer. So they decided to play on this. The whole world is being destroyed by it. And so Conor McLeod and his mates, I don't know why Conor McLeod has become an expert in technology. They don't explain that.
Shields
like in the first movie, he has like an antique shop or something, but now he's able to create this. He creates this fucking beam thing that shoots up and it creates a shield around the planet that's going to protect the planet.
It makes no fucking sense whatsoever.
Which makes us like, why is he doing that? And then we get our flash forward to 2024, and as you remember from the first one, Conor McLeod is no longer immortal because he was the last one, the only one. Mm-hmm. He was now allowed to age and die, which is a shit prize. It really is a terrible prize. Your immortality is exactly. Yeah, like unless you were really, really depressed and didn't want to live forever, you'd be like, fucking why? Why don't the Last of Us 2 have an agreement not to chop each other's heads off, and then we can both live forever? Sort of. Exactly. But anyway. I'll just as I said, the directed by Russell Mulcahy, but barely, and then starring the usual Christopher Lambert, Sean Connery, Michael Ironside, Virginia Madsen, and a young John C. McGinley, who was putting on this voice the whole way through, which I don't know if this is inspiration for Dr. Cox or what. He put it on because apparently he said he wanted to sound like Orson Welles, and it just came off sounding shocking. But this one obviously absolutely tanked. Like 34 million was the budget. It made 16 million in the box office. It's terrible, and you can really tell like they were never going to make a sequel. The writer didn't want to make a sequel. The idea was that you had it, he was able to go and die, and that was it. We just didn't find out what happened to him. He just died peacefully, whatever. But then no, because they're making a sequel, they're like, okay, we have to think of a way to get him back young again, get shot. And then, of course, Lambert wanted Connery back in, so they fucking had to shoehorn him in, and he got paid $3 million for 6 days of work. Like, think about that. Think about that. Think about $3 million in 1991, though.
Yeah, and all he does for most of it is just kind of sit around the plane or get a new suit and smoke and drink brandy.
React to things. Yeah, but he reacted to be amazed at some things that have happened since he died 500 years ago. Amazed at some stuff, but pretty chill about others. Like it's there's no absolute panic attack. Like if you took someone that was like a tribe untouched by humanity or the rest of humanity.
15th century.
There's islands, there's cultures now that fucking, they'll worship a plane flying over. They have no idea what the fuck it is. If you got one of them and plonked them in the middle of Dublin City, that poor bastard would have an absolute full blown breakdown. What the fuck are all these cars and people and phones? They wouldn't know what anything was because they had no context. This is 500 years since this dope has been alive, and he seems to just be taking it all in jest and having the crack. It's just, it's mental.
Knows how to go to an airport and get a flight and where he gets his money from. And...
no passport neither. Like, it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing how far an earring.
The passport.
How far an earring can get you. Like, it's bananas. But like the fact that the movie starts like that, and then at the very start of it, you can kind of go, okay, I get it. This is what the 2024 looks like now because he's built this, and they had a big panic with ozone layer. Okay, now what are they going to do? Are they going to, like, if you were watching the first movies back to back and didn't know anything about them, you're probably thinking, okay, well, are they going to bring new Highlanders into it, or what the crack is? Because obviously he's old. Yeah. Then they go fucking left field. They just take a sharp turn, and fucking imagine going like someone going. Imagine something completely random that we're just going to throw in here, and someone goes aliens. Right, Graham, we'll go with that. So they just completely changed it. They go, right, now they go to like 500 years ago.
From a planet.
Yeah, 500 years ago on the planet Zeist. They're like, what the fuck? And they just...
Remember when that came up and you're literally going, what the fuck are you talking... Yeah. What? Are they're aliens now? Is that just to get Sean Connery back in the fucking movie?
And you have to forget everything that you remember from the first one, because the first one, the quickening, was that fucking thing with after you chop someone's head. It's like getting all the power. You know, each time someone kills someone, they get the power of someone else. And but they changed the quickening in this. They changed it to he has fucking... Sean Connery has it, and he kind of shares it with McLeod when they're on this planet Zeist 500 years ago. And that means they'll be able to find each other when they're on the planet Earth. It's a bond between the two of them. It's like, what the fuck? Like, where are you getting this fucking shit from? Like, it's just...
In 500 years, you won't know anything. You won't know who you are. Just like...
And the way they lead into it is gas as well, because we have your man in the future, and old McLeod is sitting in this theater, and then he's kind of nodding off, and you hear a voice in his head saying, remember what we said, like we used to do 500 years ago, brother. Yeah. Blah, blah. And he goes, yeah, I remember. And he's talking like inside his head to himself. And that's how we get this flashback. But it doesn't explain why these two lads named Juan Villa fucking Lobos Ramirez, like the most Spanish fucking sounding name or whatever. Why the fuck was he called Ramirez if he lives in the planet Zeist? This other guy comes from a clan MacLeod. There is a clan of these people in Scotland. We know he has a family. Yeah. He's grown up with people until he died and fucking stayed that age forever. How are you just saying? How can you just disregard?
Actually, he's
all
not.
Of that?
He's from a different planet. Like, okay, that makes sense.
And none of that stuff happened. The stuff you think happened in the first one didn't happen. And the amazing thing is when they made a Highlander 3, they called it Highlander 3, but they just ignored everything from this movie and just made it a sequel to the second one.
Everything, yeah. And then the fourth one, they did the same again. They went, actually, no. But the thing is, like with this fucking movie, because I knew I'd seen something like a scene that was not in this one. I'm just like, what the fuck? So I was looking up, and there's there's actually 4 versions of this fucking movie.
Yeah, there's like the Renegade fucking wild.
But like there was like in weird because like the production was shut down by the Bond company that were funding it. They just started fucking the whole thing was like they can't go over the budget and they can't go over time like that. So they actually shut them down. They still had scenes to film. And they just said, fuck it. And they kicked everyone out. And the Bond company brought in their editors. I don't know why the fuck they had editors, but brought them in to finish the movie. That's why fucking director and everything, Mulcahy is just like, fuck this. Like, because when they saw the final version, they're just like he has said, like, the final version that they wanted to make wasn't any better anyway. But like that, the version that released, like there was a UK version released in April of 91, and then the American version later on that year in like August and November 91. But that American version is the one that's on streaming and we see today. That the UK version that came out a few months earlier,
but it only had a few it only had like 10 extra minutes though, but only had like 10 extra minutes, so it wasn't like a
but
it wasn't like changing.
That had scenes where they were like the fairy tale ending with, you know, McLeod and herself floating up into the air. I've seen a clip of that and I've seen it, like he floats up into the air and takes her with him and they just disappear and he goes back to his fucking planet and stuff. But like in that UK version, we'll get to like some of the fight scene later on in the movie, but it's a crazy, like the fight scene in this version that we've seen, that everyone's pretty much seen. It's 2 fight scenes put together, and you'll see it when you get to it, because he's he's wearing a trench coat, and the next scene he's in another room and he's just wearing a fucking bomber jacket or something. What the fuck is going on? So there's a whole, people will say like there's about 20 minutes of the video of the between those 2 fights that in this version it's not there because like the UK version they were allowed, the distribution company allowed them to put extra scenes in. But then that Renegade cut that you were saying, that filmmakers and actors returned to finish some of the movie on it. It's called like the director's cut or whatever, and that Renegade version removed all the stuff about the mention of Zeist and them being aliens and everything, and it's completely. They just kind of went, no, we'll fix that. And it's just made it even more of a fucking mess and it's fucking disaster. And then 2004, I've seen the one in 2004 where they got additional funds just to fix some of the visual effects, and mainly to make the shields that you can see. It's all the effects in this are unfinished. It's a red shield, and like, but the hue in all the movies like all blue. It's like there's no red coming from anywhere. So the 2004 version, they went, okay, yeah, we'll change that red shield up in the sky, change it to blue, and just like. Yeah, well, thanks for that, but it doesn't fucking do anything with shit show of a fucking movie. So some people have only seen the Renegade version, and they're kind of like going, "What the fuck are you talking about, Planet Zeist?" Just going, "Oh, fucking."
What is like? What an absolute like an abs. I mean, the story about the movie is way more interesting than the movie itself. Like it's absolutely bananas. But then look, we'll build through it and just kind of jump in, Daz, and so like the thing, that whole thing that we just mentioned, though, about the different... how is there no mention of their previous lives on Earth? We've ignored the fact that we have... How did they think they could get away with that is beyond me. And why they have fucking names, Scottish and Spanish names is nuts. And then... Actually, what do you think of the scene, right? There's a scene near the start. So they've got the shield set up. And there's this group led by Virginia Madsen who want to break in. I think it's a group called Cobalt or something like that.
Yeah.
Because we keep getting the news story giving us fucking exposition for everything, and voiceover, like radio things playing in the background giving us fucking exposition for everything. But their break into this thing is the least inconspicuous thing ever. Like they fire the
zip lines, lines going down, and the covert operation by these fucking things. By the way, Virginia Madsen, her character in this scene, she completely changes after she sees McLeod, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm a damsel in distress. She's a fucking some kind of military covert operations specialist in this fucking thing. But their whole plan is to like, we're going to fire these fucking zip lines, and they've all got their cool fucking kind of
motorbike helmets again.
With kind of cameras put on.
They're like BMX helmets, I think, with stuff glued to them, like basically.
But they fire their fancy zip lines down, and they have to get past these guards standing on a walkway that you see are patrolling past each other, and you also see one of them just happens to have his back turned as these guys two at a time going down the zip line for fucking ages, and it's like someone would have seen to see them. Like
they're not even hitting. They didn't even come from below it. Like it literally comes like fucking down, up high, along some weird waterfall thing, which is the most interesting looking part of the scenery. That's where your eyes would be drawn, no matter who you are. To see these lads hooked up and going flying down on their little fucking on their little zip wire. Like
you'd have to go out of your way. You'd have to go out of your way not to see them. It's like a video game where you see people passing each other and just like, all right, now they're doing this pattern passing. Now we go past it. It's just like, it's impossible. You can't see these guys. It's just,
but you know what's great?
That's what we're working with.
In that scene is this brilliant bit in the background. So like they're trying to break into the base where the shield is head, and there's one guard who's standing there looking off, obviously not seeing them all coming in, and he's just standing on a sign, and below the sign it just says "The Shield," as if we don't know it. It's just big white letters in the black yoke, just big "The Shield." Like, yeah, we know they've already mentioned where they're breaking into. Why would it just be called that? It's just brilliant. But yeah, as you said, they do break in. They do a bit of fucking low budget fucking sci-fi stuff in there to try and blow the thing up or shut it down or whatever. And that's all over the news. But when we cut to the next part, which is what's his face in the bar, he's in like a cafe or a bar or whatever. McLeod talking to Jimmy, or whatever the fuck his name is, the guy behind the bar. That bloke's lines, I think two of his lines he says facing the camera. Everything else is ADR'd, and you can see fully from the side. His mouth isn't moving or anything. Just throwing in lines like it's The Room. You know, it's fucking shocking. Like, oh hi, Mark.
But that's like you start to get a sense of, I guess, where most of the budget went, apart from Sean Connery. But like the sets, like obviously they're kind of going like, oh well, the world is fucked, and we're it's really hot and people are sweating all the time. There's no fucking sun, and just it's the humidity.
But their explanation
is
for
crazy
that,
and stuff like
the explanation to explain why they're still driving, right, cars and stuff from the late 90s and stuff. Yeah. Their explanation, is basically because there's no sun and all the rest of it, everybody reverted back to the old ways, using old technology, so then they don't have to explain. That's their explanation.
There's no future cars,
because this is set in 2024 essentially, and I suppose there's parts of Dublin that did look like that. It did look like that in 2024, probably. But it's such a lazy ass way of explaining why there's no fucking what movies back then had us all flying cars and shit. You know what I mean?
But some of the set is some of the sets are quite decent, like the streets setting and stuff. It's obviously a backlot or whatever. But you can see that's where they put a lot of the money in to kind of go, all right, try and make this look like this kind of grim Gotham-esque looking fucking place. But it's a miserable fucking place. But
that's slow, and that with the one with the slowest moving train of all time, it goes passes through it. It's kind of, I think as well, because so we know that what's his face, Katana is Michael Ironside, right? And he gets a fancy name because he wasn't in the first one. He gets a name, Katana, named after, obviously just named after the sword probably. But he's the one, because the lads have been banished to Earth for being whatever. What did they say at the start in Planet Zeiss? Were they part of a rebellion or some shit like that they get banished back to Earth?
But they never fully this. At the start, there is that kind of intro into fucking Planet Zeiss and all this kind of stuff. But it's still, you spend some time there, but it's still not quite clear. Where's Sean Connery and him? Were they part of resistance? Were they why are they banished? And when they're banished, their punishment is to be sent to a planet where they're going to be immortal.
But they're already immortal. They're already immortal on their planet. Because at the start, I was like, because they make it sound like it's a new, Superman. Superman doesn't have magic superpowers on his planet, but when he lands on Earth, he does. And when they talk about them, they say they have their priests and whatever before they send them back, and they're like, when you go there, you will be immortal, and you'll only be able to die if someone chops your head off. But they're obviously still immortal on that planet because Katana, it's 500 years past, and Michael Ironside still looks exactly the same as he did when they were banished. So they are immortal on that planet as well. So why would they even need to know the word immortal? They should know.
Someone said this I was trying to look up a Reddit thing to see if about the different versions or something, and there was no even subreddits about this fucking shit show of a movie. But someone said, and I didn't pick it up in the movie, it might have been one of the other versions, that time moves slower on their planet than our planet. So actually, it makes even less sense that when Michael Ironside decides to come find McLeod, and because he arrives or sends his goons there, makes him immortal again. It's like if you just waited another 20 minutes on your planet, McLeod would be dead because he's about 100. He's ready to die. He's happy days. And now, why did you pick that moment to go and try and find him? It's just and now you've set him up to be immortal again. But again, that's not explained whatsoever. It's another one of these things where the different aspects of different versions put together. The things that are missing don't make any sense because when they make a point of going, you will be immortal. And that's what you're going, but aren't you 500 years old? So it is. There's a time dilation thing,
right? Okay, I thought they were already. I thought they were already immortal. But it's as well as that he could have checked in at any time as well, because the transport from one planet Zeist to Earth is instantaneous. It's a quick whoop, and they just appear on Earth. So any time in the last 500 years, you could have just checked in and go, actually, no, he said he's grand. Pop in and ask him how he's getting on. He's like, yeah, grand. The last one here killed him. I'm just gonna head off and die now. Grand. Yeah. It's just to make, and it just throws the rule out the window. But when rather than coming back first himself, he sends back these two lads.
Oh, stop!
The lads. But is it explain why they've got porcupine spikes on the back of their head? Right? And they just they have these weird cackling, laughing bastards. And it's hilarious because before McLeod even kills one of them, he's moving like a fucking 30s, 40-year-old dude. He's got fucking movement. He's supposed to be ancient, struttering, but the minute he starts to fight, he's fucking bopping around. You can tell it's just a young dude in makeup because he's
Yeah, yeah,
fucking.
yeah. He
He's
still has all the moves, like, but their hoverboard thingies are just like,
yeah. Well,
you
this
can
is
see
obviously
where it's somebody's
this was
trying
two
to
years.
do.
This is 2 years after Back to the Future 2. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah,
came in
yeah,
1889.
yeah.
So this is 100%. They just someone saw Back to the Future 2, but like it's not that the hoverboards are as ridiculous as the guy who's flying. Because they have wings on the dude he's supposedly flying, and you can tell that he's being swung from a crane above because his move is to
see the
swing.
wires
He
in a
goes
few
up,
shots as well.
but they just keep showing the turn because he goes up and does the whole apex thing and then swings back down and then up into the end, and it's just the dude above him with a crane just swinging him back and forth. Like,
but it's one of those where you just like the one part of that you shouldn't show is the turn. As he slows down in midair hovering, and they're just like, all right, we're just going to turn you around again. Whee! Off you go again. Like, don't show that part. That's fucking awful looking. And it goes on forever, that bit, that with the last guy. It's just like he flies past him again, he hits him with one strike with the sword, and then he goes off, he turns around again, he goes back again. They do that about 9 times. It's just like, oh man, I know this in somebody's head or on the script, this is going to be fucking amazing. Like, yeah, he comes down, he's flying, they got hoverboards, it's going to be a fight and all this kind of stuff, but it goes on for so fucking long, and it's
but there is one where I did laugh out loud at one part, right? So he's, and I mean for the right reasons, not because it was terrible, but like there's a dude standing by like a phone box, and he looks up and he's obviously out of it. And he looks up and he sees the dude flying and goes, "Hey, have you got a light? Why would you do that? Why is your man even flying? Why is that not coming into your head first?" Anyway, this time flying and goes, "Hey, you got a light in your man?" And the guy just took a gun, shoots him, and blows him up, and just goes on fire. And I thought that was funny. But yeah, after he kills them, one of them gets his head run over by the slowest moving train, and then the other dude, he ends up decapitated. He's flying at him, and he pulls a fucking yoke across and decapitates him, and he gets electrocuted. It's shocking, but
and that quickening effect when the lightning's coming out and it's hitting the cars and stuff, I thought that was fucking brilliant. Like it's searching for somebody or whatever, and the lightning's coming out and hitting car lights and blowing them up or whatever, and then searching its way across the fucking ground to find McLeod. I thought that's fucking cool. It's like that is it's like the lightning has some purpose. Like, where are you? And then he gets hit by it, and it's just like orgasm central. Like, yeah, it's just fucking ridiculous.
But because the first one that happens is like, if this is just a thing that, because in the first one it would make sense, you get the fucking power after killing that. But in this one, they're saying that's not the case anymore. Quickening is something different. It's their bond between the two of them. So like, why is he needing that anyway? So he decapitates both of them. The first time he decapitates the first guy, he just gets the power. Then when he decapitates the second guy, this time he screams out, Ramirez! And somehow during this weird fucking lightning orgasm, this fucking makes Ramirez come back to life. It summons him back from the dead. He appears in Scotland. Yeah. And is like, what the fuck am I doing here? He's they're doing Hamlet on a plane. He shows up and he's joking with them and stuff. And it's just, there's no reason why. Like we're at this point, we're waiting for. We don't know how he's come back. At this point, we're waiting for an explanation as to how that actually happened, because he just shouts his name and all of a sudden he appears like magically out of anywhere. And
just to like the end of that alleyway scene before that, when he becomes young again. And then Virginia Madsen, or Louise, whatever her name is, her character, she's been hiding in a bin because she wants him to bring down the shield or whatever like that. But she is turned when he becomes young McLeod again after the quickening.
Oh yeah, they just start fucking.
She just changes character straight away, and she's like, "Oh my god," whatever, and totally like fucking late 80s, early 90s writing by fucking coked up screenwriters. In fucking Hollywood, just going, yeah, she just sees him, and then they just start fucking shifting. Fair enough. But like in the UK version with those extra scenes, they bang in the alley straight away. Like,
straight away, really?
It's just fucking. It's just like, oh my god, what an amazingly written character there. You know what I mean? She's this badass kind of fucking sneaking into some fucking facility. The very next scene, she sees a young fucking Highlander and fucking fucks him in an alleyway. It's just like,
it's
what
such,
the fuck
it's
is
such
going
a
on
lazy
here?
way of explaining. Isn't it such a lazy way of explaining it as well, though? That now that he's killed someone, now he goes back to being immortal again, but at the original immortal age, not the age he is now.
Young
Like,
again.
Yeah,
young,
great. Yeah, that 100% that makes perfect sense. But when he goes to, I think it's like so. In the meantime, we find out that the whole this corporation have taken over control of the shield, and it's all making money and keeping the people under their thumb. And there's a lot of any scenes that they're in, and actually a lot of the rooms is all about someone's decided light coming through and shadows and silhouettes is the way to go. There's the same lighting technique
but that
in
office,
every scene.
Yeah,
the giant fan.
Brilliant.
There's an office with
giant
a giant
fan and a light in every scene. But that office place where his mate when he goes to see him, like from it, it's like old school fucking lighting. Like it's super harsh lighting, but it's just giant fucking fan coming through and all that with kind of Venetian blinds and stuff, and it just looks fucking brilliant. It's mad, it's wild, but it's like so inventive.
It looks cool, but why? Why?
Bananas, absolutely bananas. But I just love that fucking. It's just someone going, like. It's not just bland lighting where you're just Marvel movie these days.
Oh,
they've taken it from flat and stuff.
They've taken it from Blade Runner. You know, that's what it looks
Blade
like.
Runner, 100%. But it just looks fucking cool. It makes no sense, but looks gorgeous.
Well, actually, the next part, right? That's because you mentioned your man Katana, right? So he comes back. He comes back down comes back to Earth. His first time on Earth, whatever. And he goes through, and it's his first time. And when he lands, he says, I sure don't look like Kansas. Like, why is he making a Wizard of Oz joke? How would he even know what Wizard of Oz is? Like, he doesn't even know McLeod is happy and is happy to go ahead and die. He doesn't know anything. Yet he's making pop culture references, and he makes a few of them. Like, you know, when he's on the subway train and he forces it to go faster and crashes it, and he simply goes, "Last stop." It's like, what, you don't even know what a train is. Why would you? Like, it doesn't. But he pops it. There's loads of lines like that are real, you know, kind of quippy, kind of real 80s quippy kind of jokes, you know, and
because he's in the
taxi
like that as well. When he's in the taxi driver, and taxi driver is like, "Yeah, man, you look like you must be a musician or some shit," and then he fucking fires his sword through the front windscreen. The taxi driver just nonsense stuff. Just like, "Yeah, man, yeah, that's fucking amazing." Just what the fuck is going on here? But then Michael Ironside, he smashes the window. Like when the taxi stops, and you're going, "All right, what's he going to do? Some weird fucking thing? He doesn't know how a door works." But then he just opens the door afterwards and gets out, and he goes, "Here, there's your tip." And just like, well, how the fuck do you know what a tip is? What's happening here? Are you from this planet? Like, it's just fucking, the choices are just bananas. Everyone just doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, the taxi driver is a lunatic, but
I give you
mad.
The height
makes no sense.
Like, it's obviously lazy as fuck, right? And that the way they decorate stuff and make it look dingy and run down. But when we get Scotland, when we get to see the next part, which is Ramirez walking into a tailor to get dressed, you know, he wants to go into buy some suits. They didn't even bother to make it look futuristic. It looks exactly like a tailor in Scotland would have looked in 1991 when this movie was made. Like, they didn't even try to change it up, make them look like fancier looking suits, which they always used to do in the 80s. They basically just remove the collar for everything out suits, so it looked slightly different and futuristic, make it shiny. They just look exactly like they just filmed it in a regular tailor shop. And the way he gets all these clothing, he's like, well, I haven't got any money. He's like, well, you know, this is quite an expensive place for gentlemen. But he goes, well, what about this? And he takes up and hands him an earring. And the man's like, yeah, okay, no worries. We'll get you suits. We'll get you a limo. We'll get you whiskey while you're sitting there. Like, how the fuck? How have you appraised this earring, this random old dude just walking in your shop, took it off, and you went, yep, this looks like it's probably worth a few million. Like, it's bananas. Like, again, when they're talking about flying,
like, how do we get A to B? How do we get John to here, to fucking New York, wherever the fuck he is? Like, and how does he know where he's going? Like, he lands in fucking Scotland, and goes through Taylor, and then, as you say, with no passport, goes up on a flight, and the fucking visual effects of the plane shot, where the plane just seems to be hovering in the air as the camera is shakily going past this awful model. The model, like, it's just nonsense with the shield in the background. And just, you know, even just on the cutting room floor, this should be right there with everything else shitty in this movie. Just like, how did an editor not go, yeah, we could probably just do without this shot. Like, you don't need to show this fucking awful visual effects. And then he's just chilling on the fucking plane and beside some fucking weirdo. And it's just,
but again,
very strange.
The bizarre choices, the safety video that he watches, like, he's sitting there.
Oh, that is the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
So it's basically a screen that they've put into what's supposed to be the back of a seat. Like, it's just
an awful prop.
It's like a load of like brown, like fucking, what's it called, Band-Aid tape or something.
Yeah.
It's
not even the color of the seats.
No, it's and he's watching this safety video, and it's fucking nuts. When it's like in a case of emergency, and there's fucking things exploding, people are screaming on the plane. Take a mask down. It just shows fucking people on the plane panicking and going absolutely fucking nuts,
gasping for air, and then it shows the plane crashing into a mountain. so wear your safety belt.
Thank you for flying with us. Like, it's nuts.
It belongs in a fucking RoboCop movie or satire or something. It's just, yeah, bananas.
I wonder, is it the case that he knew that McLeod, because McLeod's so famous, for being the guy who built it, did he just look up McLeod and someone said, "Oh, McLeod, they must be talking about Connor McLeod. He's over in the States." I mean, I wonder, is that what it is? I don't know.
I don't know, yeah.
But yes, because when he makes it over there, they're both super chill. Like neither of them are freaked out. Like they're joking about the fact that he had his head chopped off 500 years ago. He makes a couple of jokes about it as well. Like when he puts a sword up to his neck and he starts, but they just seem completely kind of completely cool with the fact that okay, he died 500 years ago. How are you not more freaked out? How are you not more freaked out to see him? Like it's
like they haven't seen each other for like 2 weeks or something. It's like, hey, how are you? Hey, that was a great fucking party we had back then. No, your head was chopped off. It's been 500 fucking years.
Yeah, and, they just kind of laugh. They just kind of laugh about it.
But I remember like this point, like, because when he arrives and they have their little fight in his gaff or whatever. Remember kind of going, oh, okay, yeah, now they're back together. And I remember just checking the runtime, and there's only 20 minutes left.
yeah.
Just when he gets here, you're just kind of going, all right, that's the first half of the movie. You're just like, fucking hell, how long has it taken to get here? But speaking of just good fucking shots, there's a shot in that gaff where it is the spiral staircase, and your one Louise is walking up spiral staircase, and it's just camera's looking straight down. But as she starts walking up, the camera starts kind of rotating around kind of the opposite way that she's walking. It's just fucking, you just going, that's a fucking great shot. Like, it's really difficult setup, difficult rigging and all that, and it looks fantastic. And then straight away after that, it's more fucking nonsense. But it's just a nice fucking shot.
Did you notice, actually, just on the stuff that they've kind of, I picked up, and this is off the topic of what you're talking about, Daz, but they mention It's a Kind of Magic. The Queen song. They say that line two or three times. Yeah, they meant to just squeeze it into the conversation a few times. It's the kind of, like, hang on a second, is this, you're like, this is obviously the music they had in the trailer, or something for it. Like, why are multiple people saying this? Like, and then it's like with a little bit of a wink. It's a kind of magic. Yeah, we get it. It's but like, right. So we guys. So the whole thing is, Cloud has talked to his mate, as you said, and he said, "Look, you know what? The ozone layer is actually starting to repair itself. We may not need it anymore." Blah blah blah. But the corporation don't want people to know that. They want to keep the fucking the shield up because I don't know why they're making money out of it, but they are.
Yeah, this is one of those things where in the scenes that are missing, that. In two different versions, like he goes up with him, that guy, and he goes in another version of the movie, he goes up with Louise. They go up through a stairs in a mountain and open the top, and they're on top of the shield, and they can see that everything's grand again. It's just like, it's quite important that, and actually this seemed before when Louise is asking McLeod like about Brenda, about pictures that she's seen in his gaff, like, who's that in that picture? And he's like, oh, that's Brenda, my first wife or whatever.
Recent
wife, his first wife and his most recent wife. But they didn't put in the scene of her seeing the pictures. That scene isn't in the fucking movie, so it makes no context. But there's, like, at the start of the movie in the UK version, there's a scene where Brenda is dying from radiation poisoning, and she asks McLeod, find a way to learn about this and fix it or do something, make that right. You're and that's his motivation for, that's my mission, I'm going to solve this. Again, very important. Motivation for him to become a very smart fucking shield ozone scientist.
For those of us listening, like, for those who haven't seen the first one, Brenda is the girl from the first movie, right? And she's But it's what, so as I said, your man, they're trying to the ozone lows definitely has healed, and But Blake is now, he's locked up your man. He's locked up his mate. He doesn't want it to get out into the public. But when they go to, this is probably my favorite part of the movie, is they decide, Louise and Connor and Ramirez decide, right, let's break into the bad guy base. And the way they break in, and this is cool because they basically, now obviously incredibly dangerous by sticking her into the fucking boot of the car, but they drive her into the car.
Been murdered, yeah.
The two lads are in the car, and they drive into the base knowing full well that it's going to hurt. They're going to get riddled with bullets, but they're going to be fine. And that's what happens. The car gets fucking melted. But it's cool because they're in the car and they're fucking proper. The blast cap things are going off. They're getting
pretty fucking gruesome. Like they get
it's like
annihilated.
It's like RoboCop stuff. You know what I mean? It's properly bam, bam, bam. They get absolutely what do they call those things? The little packs, the little
squibs.
Packs. Yeah, squibs. Yeah, they're fucking pop all over them. They're absolutely riddled. The two of them are brown bread in the car, and the car's shot to shit. And then they go and they check the boot, and Louise is in there, luckily unharmed. She's like, "Oh, these guys, they kidnapped me." I was like, "Hang on a second. Don't people know about you? I think pretty sure your name was mentioned on the news. People know
picture of you on the news.
You're not just some random chick." But it's weird. They get her anyway, and they bring her back, and they bring the two lads into the morgue, and then she's like, the two of them come back from the dead, and the mortician faints because of course he does when he sees the two lads. It's just. And so now that they're in the base, they have to get up and they want to go disable the shield. And the way they do that, when they get into that fucking
the fan room,
the fan room. There's a fan come down above them, and again,
best scene in cinematic history, man.
I think they. So he uses his magic, and I think he says it's a kind of magic again. But he's used his magic to lift up the giant fan so that the Louise and Connor
see the room like when you watch it again, like the fan's spinning down to get them or whatever, and the door locks behind them. But like the room they're in, they didn't pick a concrete room. There's a load of like metal vents around the side, like really really thin little metal vents. It's like, smashed one of them to get out. Just even the prop room was fucking awful. But like when he, I don't know why or how he gets that power when Sean Connery suddenly gets the quickening power and his hand starts glowing and like I'm going to raise the fan or whatever. But like then like this Scottish bagpipes come in, Amazing Grace, and it's like he's not Scottish, he's a fucking Egyptian.
He's an Egyptian with a Spanish name.
It's just like
Amazing Grace and the bagpipes, just absolutely amazing.
But when he starts to raise it, and then he just goes, "Will I ever see you again?" And just like he's obviously using his power to, I can summon all my life force to save us from this fan. He goes, "Will I ever see you again?" He goes, "Who knows?" And then behind them, the door just goes, pop. The door just opens. Like, who opens the fucking door? Could you not just open the door with your magic power?
All three you could have been in there, yeah. But then he he disappears into like a light, like he disappears into like a beam of light or whatever. He goes up to I don't know, is it Highlander heaven or whatever the fuck he disappears to? Yeah. It's like he doesn't get killed or torn apart or anything. He just disappears and becomes made of light and disappears. But yeah, so so anyway, the now Katana, of course, who is in league with the company for whatever reason. I'm not sure why they have this alliance. Why he makes an alliance with them with these. Yeah, with the guys. Like
that whole company, it's such a throwaway thing that just like they just don't want the shield to come down because they're profiting from it some way, shape, or form that's never even gone into in any version of the movie. And then he wants to make an alliance with them. And the throwaway about like the reason they can keep the shield there is that we don't have enough power on the planet to stop it or to turn off the shield. It's like, what the fuck is that? Like, you've got to come up with a better line, like, in defense of this corporation.
They need that to explain why Connor's able to turn it down, because when Connor, he uses all the combined energy of the quickening that he has now that what's his face is gone, and he uses that to disable the shield, and then of course the world then can see it. So they have to say that's how much power he's got, that we haven't got enough power on Earth to shut it down, but he can use his magic quickening, which just seems to change what it is from scene to scene, can now be used, and he shuts down the shield, and then the world can see sees the sky, sees the night sky that's been hidden from them for so long. It's
but that final fight when he's fighting what the fuck Michael Ironside, what's this Katana, and it's like they fight in a like an abandoned dome at the start, and it looks fucking rubbish, and there's music going on here that it's like there's like an electric guitar kind of riff playing over kind of a cinematic action mix, and it's like, what the fuck? It's like someone just playing two bits of music over each other that don't correlate or do justice to anything in the fucking scene. It's just it's awful. But like, their fight is apparently, this is where they said that there is a fight, and then he falls down the elevator shaft and then gets away or whatever, and then he goes off and does some other shit, and obviously has a change of clothes and goes to see the Shield or something, and comes back and fights him again. But that section, they hadn't finished filming yet, so when those Bond editors came in, they said, well, we'll just put them together. So like, so he changed his jacket.
It's a costume change.
One shot to the other, and it's just such a, like, you know, the first one isn't an amazing movie either, but the fact that we only get that one sword fight between Ramirez and McLeod in his apartment, that's a friendly thing, and that's the first time there's been any choreography of any sort.
Oh yeah, sure. At one point he's running along. Yeah, at one point he's running along with a machine gun. Like, they're going in and he's got like an assault rifle. It's an
action movie for about 4 minutes, and it's fucking shocking. Like, but the fact that that scene is just absolutely awful. Then when he walks into the thing and fucking destroys the Shield, and then like it just shows the editors that fucking did this first movie where they stop it on a fucking freeze frame of him smiling. It's just like, is this Family Ties? Like, what's going on? He might as well have his thumbs up going, yeah, this freeze frame and the world is fucking saved. It's like, it's hilarious. But the ending, the fairy tale ending, stick it up online. It's fucking brilliant, because he's standing there and he's like, look at the moon. That's my planet over there. And then she turns around and she says, what is he doing? And he floats up, and there's just a shot of him against the sky, and he's just floating in the air for some reason. And he starts to vanish, and she goes, oh, yeah. And
he brings her with him, doesn't he? Yeah.
Come with me. And then for some reason she starts to rise up, and then she starts turning and vanishing, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? But it's a far better ending than this fucking freeze frame nonsense.
I mean, barely though. Like, it's
barely, or less rubbish. Yeah,
it's an absolute shambles of a movie. It really is. Like, I don't even like. I suppose it is one I kind of recommend watching just because it's only 83 minutes long or 86 minutes long or something. And it's just to look at start to finish. Yeah, it is just baffling to go, how in God's name was this released? Like, it's baffling to me it even made 16 million. Like, it obviously only made that money off the back of the first one. But
the thing was, the first one and then this one, and then after this one, then like there was a Highlander series that ran for 6 years, 92.
Yeah.
Like 120 episodes. I didn't fucking know that.
Cousin. Yeah, it's his cousin, Duncan McLeod.
Duncan. Yeah, I remember. And then there was Highlander 3 that got 5% in Rotten Tomatoes. This has 0%. 3 had 5% Rotten Tomatoes. There's a
few. There's a bunch of different
stuff as well.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of movies, a bunch of random shit like animated
I didn't know
stuff
that it spanned so much fucking time. But but the director went on. I was checking it out. Went on to have he had pretty shit movies before this. He had a couple of decent music videos, but he went on to make The Shadow.
Resident Evil Extinction, I think. Wasn't he? Resident Evil
3 and Scorpion King 2. So yeah.
Oh, fuck's sake. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but this is it's a shocking movie in every way. It's not even that, like, it's made poorly. It's just behind the scenes, as you said. It's more interesting reading what the fuck happened with this and why there's so many different fucking versions of this movie. Yeah, wild.
Well, look, anyway, it's done now, and we don't have to talk about it again.
Next week, it's Highlander 3. Happy days. Thanks for taking us through that. Delighted to never watch that again. Thanks a million for everyone for sharing and liking, subscribing, and all of the above. And we'll catch you on the next one. Take it easy.
See ya.